How many of us fall into the category of if you see or hear something that you think you should report but then decided against it? Chances are someone watching this video falls into that category. There are multiple examples all around us that if you see something, you should say something. For example, there are commercials, billboards, and many other outlets that encourage people to report a crime without revealing themselves. Despite all these pushes, it still feels as though people are uncomfortable with coming forward. Now, before I get into depth, it is only suiting that I define what whistleblowing is so that everyone can understand the importance it can have in the workplace. Whistleblowing, as defined by our text, is the disclosure by a person, usually an employee, to the public or those in authority of mismanagement, corruption, illegality, or some other wrongdoing. Now, this definition seems as though you would want everyone in the workplace to come forward, but whistleblowers seem to have a negative connotation associated with them. People typically do not want to become a whistleblower due to the fear of retaliation. Whistleblowers have to be fearful of harassment, demotion, job loss, perpetual job loss, their character comes into question, and much more. In a Forbes article, the statistics of retaliation against a whistleblower runs rampant. In one study, a shocking 82% of whistleblowers experienced harassment after making allegations against a company, and 60% of those people were actually let go from their jobs. So ethically doing the right thing is an uphill battle. But how can we encourage whistleblowers despite all of this negativity? I read multiple articles about whistleblowing, and in a lot of cases, the whistleblowers were actually let go of their jobs. Whistleblowers are stuck between a rock and a hard place. On one hand, you run the risk of getting fired. On the other hand, if you do not report such knowledge, the current regulation is that the employee is liable if they know something and do not report it. So what does a person do at these odds? This is where a person's ethical mindset comes into play. It is important to understand the valuable contributions that whistleblowing makes. For example, most fraud, approximately 42% within an organization, is discovered by whistleblowers compared to other methods. Many big cases are centered around the discovery by whistleblowers. Watergate is a prime example. To become a whistleblower, it takes a strong ethical framework and an enormous amount of courage, because when given the opportunity, would you actually speak up? Despite the negativity towards whistleblowers, it is important to change the attitudes and mindsets about this ethical importance in the workplace. There are 5 ways that I believe we can work to cultivate ethical change in the workplace and improve the negative outlook on whistleblowing. Number 1, establish a tone at the top. It is important to establish and communicate an organization's support for ethical behavior and internal disclosures. 2, put clear procedures in place. The process of reporting and the way a company investigates these reports should be set out clearly. 3, respond to every report and ensure in a timely manner. It is important to acknowledge and respond to every report, regardless of the content. This will prove your organization and employees that their contribution is valued and recognized. 4, establish an anti-retaliation policy. Many people do not want to be a whistleblower because they are fearful of the retaliation. Employees should be encouraged to speak up, and a protective anti-retaliation policies need to be in place. And 5, the most important thing I feel is to cultivate hope. This hopefulness is what drives whistleblowers to come forward. It is hope that being ethical will pay off. It's hope that their commitment to the organization will not be turned against them. And it's hope that they are paving the way for the next whistleblower to come forth in the name of the truth. I truly admire whistleblowers because it takes a special individual to speak up about unethical practices and fight a system when you feel that the world seems to be against you. Something to keep in mind, and I will leave you all with this, is that behind every bad fraudster or bad unethical situation, there is and can be a great whistleblower.